Welcome everybody to the Coaches in the Mouth Pod. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Daryl Fimple and the Mouth Brent Bender. Coaches Pod Network is powered by Lindsey and Associates. Our Player of the Week is sponsored by C.R. Crawford and Construction. Monetary lending. If you're looking for any flips or property investments, please contact our man Pete. Sports Clips, Hootens, Pigs Brand, and we're the official podcast of ARFCA. Well, before we get started, let's go ahead and recap. Bring on Coach Bray Cook. The Coach's Corner. Coach Cook.
Coach.
The 7A West, what we talked about last week, is getting crazy. A lot of upsets. Daryl, we'll have everybody involved in this. Talk to us. You were at the Harbor Bentonville game, the shakeup, the West Fayetteville game. Talk to us a little bit what you saw.
Well, a lot of action Friday night. So some pretty unbelievable scores from around Northwest Arkansas, really around the state. But happy to talk about them back here at Ben's apartment.
Yeah, back here at Ben's.
You know, they've got their restaurant rolling up front. Obviously, we come here every chance we get, and love to recap some football back here in the on the poker tables.
There's no doubt. And the collective, we were here the other night. Great food, and
Unbelievable.
Ben's is awesome. We appreciate them having us here.
Yeah.
Thursday night, you got to see PA and North Little Rock. Talk to me. What did you see there?
That's my first time to Pulaski Academy. A nice little intimate stadium, as Coach liked to describe it. But man, the beginning of that game was pretty intense. You could tell it was emotional on both sides. Somewhat of a rivalry, it felt like. But as that game went on, PA kind of took it away, and their offense was just high powered, and they've got some playmakers who were able to really make some unbelievable highlights. It wasn't just like a methodical, just moving the ball down the field. It was a couple unbelievable catches, a couple big time plays by their receiving core, and then PA ran away with it.
It did. Then Friday night, all the spectacles. Let's see it with you, Daryl, first a little bit, and then we'll get back over with Coach Cook about the 7A West. Greenbrier, Morton, boy, that showed up. Nashville, Arkadelphia. Talk to us a little bit about what you saw.
Well, Greenbrier, you've seen exactly what they do. They line up and just smash right at you. Morton got behind, and really defensively, the secondary Greenbrier held steady on that game. Kept them in front and got a big lead, and then they just grinded out with the Son and that big offensive line. They were phenomenal. Then the Arkadelphia game, it was kind of one of those kind of surprises. Some say it was. If you ask anybody in Arkadelphia right now, he scored. Everybody else is going to say he didn't score, but, they're sending in pictures right now where the guy's literally in the air. But, hey, you got to give it to Nashville. Coach Chester, he knows what that means. That's a huge game for them, and then kind of puts them in the winner's seat, and probably gives Arkadelphia a little motivation moving forward, too. And McCoy, they turned the ball over. Arkadelphia ran into turning the ball over, which they've kind of stayed away from for a long period of time, and that set up some easy scores for Nashville.
Well, and you hit it, they come off lose a bad loss to Magnolia, and, that deal with some things. Then played Dardanelle the week before, lost one or two, and then, get Arkadelphia. Coach Cook, let's go back over to you. You were at the Harbor Bentonville game. You did the live stream for Harbor Bentonville, and then let's follow up with that West Fayetteville game.
Yeah, that Bentonville Harbor game, Harbor made a change, started a sophomore on the offensive line at right guard. They came in, they played a really good, really impressive first half. They come off the field. I think the score was 7-17 maybe at the time. Made a couple big plays. But that second half of that game was Bentonville's all day. And I think that's the biggest difference of where Bentonville is compared to where Harbor is, just because Bentonville knows how to win those games, how to have that big success, and how to ignore all those storylines that were kind of on the field throughout that game with Dannenhauer's experience there at Bentonville. And you could tell that it was an emotional football game for both teams, but Bentonville was able to play a little cleaner football and run away with it.
It was the West Fayetteville game where everybody on the show picked West. That's me, and we'll talk about picks later on. Good Lord. But not surprising upset. I mean, you're involved with that. Talk to us a little bit how that shakes everything up.
This is one of those things that both those teams work with us with Varsity Vibe, or we're around them. We've been around them all season and summer. And so we've noticed those things behind the scenes of Bentonville West where they really are so much better than they were last year. And they've been able to take some huge steps, some big time playmakers. And that showed up Friday night. against a very talented Fayetteville team.
Did Springdale gets probably elimination game with Heritage there. So 7A West, 7A Central, PA with the big win, Little Rock Christian, and we'll get into it. Daryl, one last one. Hot Springs, Daryl Burnett.
Man.
At Parkview. I mean, what we got going on there a little bit?
Well, still questions offensively. You know, they're having trouble there in Hot Springs. We knew going in, man, they have so many playmakers. I mean, they're so explosive. Had two big touchdowns, through the air in that game that kind of set the tone. But once again, Parkview just can't keep drives going. They're not running the football real well. But, I think somebody picked Hot Springs to win that game.
Oh, looky there. There it goes.
Yeah,
Keeps
yeah. I
going.
think that was coming. I think that was coming. Yeah, the Springs were hot.
They were hot. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and kill our Coach Cook's corner here a little bit. Appreciate the recap. Let's get into who is our CR Crawford Player of the Week.
Our CR Crawford Construction Player of the Week is Nikel Lewis from Hamburg, Arkansas. He had 32 carries for 357 yards and 6 touchdowns, which gives him on the year 88 carries for 1,136 yards and 21 touchdowns. He's averaged about 13 yards a carry. I don't know what else they're doing on offense, but it sounds like it's a good idea to just give that guy the ball because he's phenomenal. Nikel Lewis is our Player of the Week this week.
Well, who's our CR Crawford Small School O-line of the week in Big School?
Boom. When you're in the construction business like CR, you got to have a foundation. This foundation goes also to the Hamburg lines up front. Number 75, Jay Bulgarian, is our left tackle. 72, Parker Shipley is our left guard. Our center's Gage Wathall is our center. Number 53, Mitchell Ramos is our right guard. And our right tackle is Brett Davis. The left side of the Hamburg offensive line, Shipley and Bulgarian, is dangerous. I think Lewis might have carried 30 times to the left. I don't know who's got the scout report, but you might want to load up the left side. They were over 500 yards of total offense on the offensive line. So that's our small school offensive line, and our Player of the Week comes from Hamburg, Arkansas. Our big offensive line, and this is what we're talking about here. These guys are monstrous too. It goes to Greenbrier.
Yes.
The Panthers of Greenbrier. You got Wynn Scutland is our left tackle. Zane Morgan's our left guard, number 70. Our centers, number 60, Cameron Mallett. Number 64, Kobe Rogers. And Dalton Schrader. They racked up about 400 yards, 500 yards of total offense. They've kept Palmer clear, and Hassan went over 1,000 yards on the year. So they were phenomenal.
They've been doing it every week, man. They've been doing it every week.
Yeah, you watch a little tape of that, buddy. It's a slaughter. We'll go off balance, and we'll load a couple tackles in there. We'll have a tight end that doesn't even wear gloves because we're not throwing it to him. I mean, there's no way that guy doesn't even wear gloves.
I love it. All right, here we go. Fimps, small school, top 6.
Here we go, man.
We
got some shaking up going here.
Yeah, man. First
we got a new number one. Got a new number one. That's what happens when the old number one. We'll just drop you completely out, man. You drop a game here. There's no makeup. I mean, you got the rest of the season here. Number 6, Carlisle Bisons.
Yes, sir.
Quarterback Baylor Hawk. He was 10 of 20 this past week for 146 yards and a touchdown. They beat Baptist Prep 27-6. He also had 19 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Elliott had 19 carries for 94 yards and a 33-yard touchdown catch out of the backfield. Carlisle's going to come in at number 6. Fordyce, Barton heard about Fordyce, just forfeited. They just said, we're not playing this week, literally. I mean, that's literally what happened. So Fordyce kind of takes that as a bye, rolls into the next week as our 5 spot. Number 4, here's a new one. Little Rock Mills.
Oh, yes, sir.
Little Rock Mills is
Yes,
going to break into our number 4, even though that conference is not the most challenging conference right now. They beat Bald Knob 35-0. The sophomore quarterback, Kingston Burnett, is doing more than just filling in. He had 233 yards this past week. He's got some weapons, too, and Chase Slater and Torrance Talbot. Both of those guys got long touchdowns this past week. Number 3 is going to be Gosnell. Gosnell's going to slide in after a 26-20 win over Highland. I think it's one of those come to focus now. Now we're the ones being hunted. So I think Gosnell's doing some things, but that they can still lean on Mason Woods there and Jay Jacobs on the outside. Jamar Allen. That's a heck of a junior class Gosnell's got going on too. Number 2 is going to be Dardanelle. Vegas numbers are unbelievable, but the Chatting boys are actually helping. CJ Kirsch is a phenomenal player, too. I think he averaged 50 yards on 2 catches this past week. They ran 25 plays and scored 76 points. Dover Pirates, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was bad. The Dardanelles, 76-0. They move into our 2 spot. Number 1, you know who number 1 is.
Yes, the great.
Grass is starting to change too, baby.
Yes, sir.
Salem,
Yes,
Salem,
sir.
34-7 over Melbourne. Caden Brink, Jackson Taylor, the quarterbacks, they're still rolling up front. They're phenomenal. Also getting looks. Of course, we're still going to be able to keep up with Arkadelphia. I think that's going to be something that's going to motivate them. Elkins running the ball real well, 49-6 over Gentry this week. Stuttgart, that's another one that's making a little noise. Kane Price has got some weapons down there. Taekwon Hall is leading them in rushing. QT Johnson is a big wide receiver player. QT's phenomenal there. Charleston's going to get a vote too. Carter Little, big game this coming week with Bismarck. Bismarck destroyed Parker's Chapel this past week. And there's a couple Keithley boys. Remember, we said Coach Keithley's going to be in trouble if he ever get. Well, they got another one. He's a young cat. He's playing really well for them too. Smackover, big game for Smackover this week.
Big.
All right, the Buckaroos are right there. They've been in our top 6 before. EPC, Buchanan, and Gaines is just kicking tail end. Poen, that's another one to watch out for. Got a big old Colt Barrett down there. The guy's over 1,000 yards, threw for 550 in one game. Good Lord Almighty. That was somebody's season again back in the day. Cross County, Earl had a big, huge win this past week, too, over Desart, 26-24. And we got to love Coach Simpson and Southside Batesville. I'm telling you, those guys are good. Owen McLaughlin, and you got the Trey Allen at quarterback. They don't turn it over. They're playing really, really good defense. They're also getting some looks, too, in our top 6. Big School. Big School is going to be a challenge here, too. Number 6, because I'm on the bandwagon right now. Bentonville West, man.
There
Coach
we
Pratt's
go.
got me fired up, ready to play right now. He said, hey, you remember these guys mercy rolled.
Pre-game speech.
I loved it. These guys mercy rolled us last year, fellas.
Make them quit, man.
Let's see what we got for them guys. Yes. Bentonville West come off a huge win, 48-14. Fayetteville made so many mistakes in this game, but they definitely, the Wolverines took advantage of it. Trey Thompson had 11 carries for 108 yards. The quarterback, VJ Warren, had 19 carries for 105. And Ryan Adjam, their big wide receiver, had a big 12-yard catch there, too. Playing on a short field. Their defense was opportunistic. For sure. Robinson's going to come in at number 5 after just a mauling of Watson Chapel. Deuce Williams is averaging almost 10 yards a touch on offense. Their offense and defensive line is really, really impressive. Number 4, they just won't go away, man. They just won their 72nd home game. Did you hear it? 72nd home game, and Archer goes 30-0 as a starter. Greenwood's going to come in as number 4. The dude's 30-0.
Didn't know he was going to go until 6:45.
Yeah. I seen the brace.
Just put it on his back again, man.
Yeah, unbelievable. They actually, the Raju went over 100 yards, 20 carries for 127 yards. If you've seen Shiloh in that game, they would kind of give them 5 yards a whack, and then Greenwood took it for a while, and then they decided to do something different. But Greenwood's defense is the best they've played all year long. In that game, Rogers is going to come in at number 3. They had a 52-12. They were pretty much in street clothes at halftime. Reagan had 4 carries for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 7-yard touchdown pass. Kramer had 75 yards rushing and a touchdown out of the backfield. Rogers' defense is playing really well too, which gives you problems there, especially when you're playing from behind most of the night. Number 2, Bentonville, hellacious Hall of Fame speech given at halftime there. I think Coach Brady touched on a little bit earlier. Something happened. Switches were turned on, maybe turned off. I don't know. But Coach Grant got after them a little bit. They responded the right way. They ended up beating Harbor 38-7. Blair Irvin had 5 catches for 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Conrad Schmitz had 3 catches for 42 and a touchdown. Chris Finklin ran the ball 15 of 83. Ko Slepik, the quarterback, is playing phenomenal right now. He had 5 touchdowns to 4 different guys, threw over 234 yards. Bentonville's still rolling there, especially if you see the second half team. Bryant's going to stay 1. Hey, this is our man, Coach Sanders said. Too many flags, fellas. Too many flags out there. It's 50-0. All right, we got to This guy's coaching. He's coaching, man. He's finding ways here. But man, what Bryant does is phenomenal. Kellen Robinson, Zakira Curtis Jones, T.J. Hodges, the running back room is really loaded. And then
Yes.
you got the two wideouts that are phenomenal. Getting great quarterback play here, man. And their defense. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever going to score. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're giving up. I think it's 9 points a game right now. I mean, that's their second shutout of four.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Bryant is our number one. Also getting votes, Conway's 57-21 over Southwest. Trey Harris, they kind of turned to him at the running back spot. He's come up big for him. Little Rock Christian
Yeah.
also is one that is kind of hiding around there. Had a big, huge win over Cabot this past week. Jackson Ward, the running back, and Tristan Watson, who I think he just committed to Henderson State for you Ready fans. Benton's rolling. Benton got
Yeah.
healthy, by the way, fellas. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
back. They got all their
Yeah.
guys back,
Yeah.
which has made a big, huge difference. Drew Davis had a humongous game against Jonesboro, had 4 rushing touchdowns. They got down there close. They just ran quarterback power the whole time. Mountain Home, our guy just finds a way, man.
Just finds a
Finds a
way,
way.
man.
We're going to talk about them a little later on too. They just find a way. They play some great football. Of course, big on Cersei. Cersei 57 over Whitehall. Jacob Miles, a quarterback. Caden Hickman is a tackling machine. He's over 60 tackles on the year right now. Greenbrier over Morrilton this past week, 52-21 is going to bring Greenbrier some also votes. They have Hassan is over 800 yards rushing. Palmer's over 1,000 yards passing. The Mosley kids over 400 yards receiving. They've got some weapons, and I'm telling you, their offensive line is magnificent.
Yes.
So Greenbrier could be breaking into that top six.
Well, let's do this, man. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest picker, former head coach at Conway, defensive coordinator all over the state, legendary athletic director now, the executive athletic director at Springdale, Coach Keith Fimple. Keith, welcome to the show.
Well, glad to be here, gentlemen. Glad to be here. Great
Well,
day. Get to talk about a little ball. Let's do this.
let's do it. Well, let's don't mess around here, guys. I mean, again, loaded games, and these games are big playoff implications. And I think we start off in the old 6A East over here. Got El Dorado Wildcats heading over to Marion. Marion's coming off a big victory over a hot Sylvan Hills team. El Dorado, after taking a good lumping against Little Rock Christian early on, has really come on. Daryl, break this one down for us.
Well, it's going to be interesting. El Dorado's coming off a 48-31 win over Catholic. They're led, their quarterback, Kenan Jacobs. They've got a two-headed monster, man. They just lined up against Catholic and went just physical football, both two tight ends. Most of the time there, Jeremy Samuels or J.J. Samuels, Jeremiah Warner, the two backs, so they just kind of rotate in there, and they were run heavy to start, and they were run heavy to finish. That game kind of wore out the defensive front of Catholic, even though Catholic was trying to sub just about every series. Ja'Cory Lumsey is the linebacker for El Dorado. He leads them in tackling. They're really, really good. Marion got in a shootout. I mean, the professor got them in a shootout.
Yes,
They
he
thought
did.
they had the professor down, and the professor just found a way. The Hampton kid had 5 touchdowns, but Marion finds a way to beat Sylvan Hills 49-46. Kind of takes control of that conference right now. Kajarius Hill had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Zayden Walker, man, and their offensive line was good too this past week. Marion's was. Zayden Walker's their quarterback. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 running and 1 throwing. He threw one to Amani the Suit. Get that? Monty, the suit. Ren. Yeah, baby. And then Rico Ward had 2 touchdowns on the ground. They were explosive. And defensively, they held up. Got a little scary there. And like I said, Sylvan Hills is a big play against them. But this is Marion at home. I think Marion's got a lot of athletes. El Dorado's going to have to try to keep them off the field, not allow them to get big plays. So I'm going to take Marion at home.
Taking Marion at home. Taking Marion at home. Mouth, break this one down. You're close to that El Dorado program. They're kind of getting hot right now. Marion's coming off a big victory.
They're getting El Dorado's getting real hot right now. They're real hot. They're smoking right now. Marion's coming off a huge victory against Sylvan Hills. Great ball game. I'm going to tell you the one thing that's gonna. El Dorado's got a long trip to Marion next Friday, and I don't care how hard you try to make it as easy as it can. 3.5, 4 hour bus rides are never easy.
Mm.
And in a close one, I'm going with Marion.
Oh, Mouse going with Marion. Wow. All right, Coach Fimp, you know El Dorado real good. Marion, you played when you were at Conway. And of course, you know, your former offensive coordinator, the professor, had them last week. Your thoughts on this one?
I got to get home and watch. That was a tremendous game there. I mean, stopping them on the 1 yard line and getting the ball back, I still thought, hey, man, this thing's still going to be going. So it's back and forth. But I told myself this year that stats pretty much all over the state of Arkansas don't mean a whole bunch because everybody's playing good football right now. And so, there's one thing I remember down there at, down there at El Dorado. Everybody wants to be a cat, so I'm going with El Dorado.
Oh, Coach Fimp, Big Fimp's going with El Dorado. I think this is an interesting game. Can Marion, long game last week? We're talking about bus trip. I think Marion's been there. I like El Dorado and where they're headed, but I think Marion's a better team right now. I'm gonna go with Marion. All right, we're going over to the 6A West, headed over to the River Valley. Got Lake Hamilton coming off a dominant performance over Siloam Springs. Fort Smith Southside back at home, been on the road last 3 weeks, coming off a difficult loss at Mountain Home. Still putting up numbers, throwing the ball pretty good. Got to get the turnovers at Southside knocked down a little bit, but where are we at in this one, Daryl?
Well, Lake Hamilton's coming off a 53-20 win over Siloam Springs for homecoming. That was homecoming.
Yes.
Buddy. Yeah, it was the old homecoming game. Lake Hamilton, it's kind of a different squad they've got because Bohannon, their quarterback, he can really throw the football. So they do a lot of power stuff with them guys back there. Carson Jackson's probably kind of their Swiss Army guy. He catches passes. They'll throw him some shovel passes, run him on draws, a lot of sweeps. Running back Coy Autry also leads them in rushing right now. Linebacker Blaine Sears is probably their best defensive player. DJ Wilson's a wide receiver, is kind of a deep threat there for them. They threw some chunk plays to him in the Siloam Springs game. So Lake Hamilton's a little different, pretty good up front too. They can move some bodies defensively. Their front seven's pretty good. The secondary is still kind of questionable, which that's good for Southside. Southside plays at home too this week. They lost last week to Mountain Home 38-21. I think the travel did get them. I think that was the mouth kept talking about the travel was going to be bad. And the trail got them. Turned the football over way too many times. But they've got a veteran quarterback and Blake Forsgren, great offensive line. 2 wide receivers in Russell Key and Peyton Zimmerman. Defensively, they just got put on short fields, and that's not a good idea with Mountain Home being able to run it. Got hit on a flea flicker. That was the first score they gave up too there. So Southside at home, Lake Hamilton making the trip there. I'm going to take Southside at home in this one.
All right, Daryl's taking Southside. Mouth, what's your thoughts on this? Southside coming off a difficult loss. Can they bounce back this week?
First time in nearly a month, Southside's been at home.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the Mouth's going to be there at this game Friday night. And I'm taking the Fighting Damerons in Southside.
Taking Southside. The Mouth's taking Southside. Coach Fimple, you know both these programs. We've been over at Lake Hamilton with a high-powered offense before, and you know Southside. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, again, the way that and what Lake Hamilton does is very difficult to defend against, especially if they get rolling and the different formations they give you, the different weapons they have. It's something that you just don't see every week. I know Southside's at home, and I was there and absolutely love the place, but I'm taking Lake Hamilton.
Oh, taking Lake Hamilton. Keith Fimple's taking Lake Hamilton. Oh, my God. Here we go. Well, I think this is interesting because I think Lake Hamilton, you look at their non-conference, they end up playing some pretty good teams with Hot Springs beating Parkview, and you got Arkadelphia, and that bunch kind of looks like, we don't know, Southside got tested there early. This could go back and forth. I'm going with Southside because they're at home. I feel like they can bounce back a little bit. All right, heading down into South Arkansas. Huge. This could be game of the week easily in small school. Got Smackover at Bismarck. Smackover's really come on with all kinds of players. Bismarck is is the Keithley brothers. Enough said, defending state runners-up. Daryl, talk to us about this one.
Well, Smackover, it's coming off a 28-0 win over Harmony Grove this past week. Their average is about 47 points a game. Mitchell Polk, their quarterback, he's got some weapons too. Joseph Brown, Peyton Teasley's a big back that plays defensive tackle, and they put him in at running back a lot too. He's the big back. And then Braxton Bryant is a big dude too. Jamar Robinson's straight electric in a bottle. So Smackover's got some great skill players, got a good offensive line. Defensively, their secondary's been playing really well because they play a lot of those skill guys on both sides of the ball. So Smackover's rolling right now. Bismarck, we know about Bismarck. Bismarck is really well coached. Coach Keithley does a great job with those guys. They're 48-0 win over Parker's Chapel this past week. They're averaging about 45 points a game. Caveman Keithley is their leading rusher. He had 3 touchdowns last week in Parker's Chapel, 14, 21, and 31 yards. He also had a pick 6 return for 33 yards. Caden Birch is their quarterback, filled in for him a little bit for his brother last year. He had a 36-yard touchdown run and a 36-yard touchdown pass to Ethan Keithley. Yeah. There's another one. We told you. He'll leave Bismarck when he runs out of kids. I think we'll take the money then. But until now, Bismarck is playing at home. Smackover's trying to, like I said, they could get right in the middle of this conference race right here. But going to Bismarck, you got Prescott's figured out how to play. Yeah. Again, Coach Glass got those guys on the right track. So this is going to be a hellacious conference race right here. But I'm going to take Bismarck to play at home, and I think this could be a shootout right here.
Yeah, I think so. Mouth, your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's going to be a heck of a game, but I got one thing to say. As long as Bismarck's got the Keithley family in there, I'm going to go with Bismarck.
Going with Bismarck. Mouth's going Bismarck. Coach Fimple, this could be our small school game of the week. Smackover's really come on. Great quarterback play. Bismarck knows how to get it done.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs of all time is Johnny Horton Sink the Bismarck. Don't believe that's going to happen right here, though, boys. We're going to go with Bismarck.
Going with Bismarck. Coach Fimple's going with Bismarck. I'm going to go with Bismarck also. I think they've been tested. They've been there. Feel like they're going to make a run. I'm going with Bismarck also. All right, headed over to God's country. Here we go. We got Newport, which this was a barn burner last year, headed over to Rivercrest. Rivercrest giving up all kinds of points, man. Big explosive plays. Newport been tested over at Salem. Salem took care of business. Both very athletic. Buda Harris is going off every week. Newport, I mean, this is a long-time rival. Daryl, break this one down for. Can Rivercrest find enough defense to slow these guys down at all?
Well, the Colts, we were better last week.
Yeah, I know we were.
Could be who we were playing too. But anyway, explosive. Newport is that, especially. They beat Piggott last week 59-6 to move 3-1, 1-0 in the conference. Trevion Greer is fantastic to watch. He's over almost 700 yards a year, averaging 14 yards a carry, 10 touchdowns. Luke Reynolds is a quarterback. He can run and throw it too. Defensively, Newport's really good up front.
Yes.
Their front's really good. Of course, a lot of those guys go on both ways, on both sides of the ball. A really good middle linebacker too there at Newport. Rivercrest, 2-2 on the year, 1-0 in the conference, had a 57-20 win over Harrisburg. They've scored over 188 points in the games, but they've given up 164 points, which is not a great balance there. And then our guys got distracted about third quarter of this game, wanting a Colt burger.
No, Colt burger.
Our guys were wanting a Colt burger. I mean, they were calling down there. They lost our focus a little bit, and so we got to get our guys back on track in the booth. But yeah, we lost our focus a little bit. Jaden Young. Yes. Jaden Young has over 1,516 yards of all-purpose yardage. All right, the guy's got 3 interceptions. He's got 3 kick returns, average about 58 yards a kick return. He is throwing the football. He's like the Swiss Army knife, man. They'll move that guy all over the place. They're actually playing another quarterback right now, trying to get him more touches in the backfield. Lex Latham is a sophomore running back for him. He's over 400 yards in the year. And then Buda's over 700 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. To Kalen Sanders is leading them in tackles right now with 32. But like I said, they're having a hard time keeping people to getting in their secondary.
Yeah.
And then now I've noticed that they've kind of moved some guys around a little bit. I've seen Buda play a little corner. So I think they're going to get their wits about them here. But Newport's going to line up and run it right at them. So we'll see what you can't be soft in the middle.
No.
You can't be soft in the middle. The
Yeah.
Colts right
Can't be
now,
soft up
we're
the middle.
struggling in the middle, man. We're struggling in the middle right here. If it gets in the shootout, I think Rivercrest has a chance. But I'm actually going to take Newport, as bad as it
Oh,
hurts me,
taking Newport.
because I love the Colts, man. I want one of them Colt burgers they were talking about. Made me hungry, man.
All right, Mouth. Newport at Rivercrest is always a classic.
Oh, it's going to be another classic this week. It'll be a victory for Rivercrest if Newport has to punt.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if Newport even needs to take their punter to this game. He's probably their quarterback, but I'm going to go with Newport.
Oh, Mouth's going with Newport. Coach Fimple over at God's Country. We know that Colts, man, they get fired up. It's a big one. There's been a few great players playing this game.
There has been several, and we've actually had the honor to play with several from Rivercrest and Henderson. But I'm going to say who let the dogs out. I'm going with Newport too.
Oh, going with the Greyhounds. Going with the Greyhounds. I'm going with Newport. I mean, I watched the Four City game, and I love my Colts and all that deal. And we're scoring. I love Buda, and they're scoring a bunch of points. If this gets to be a shootout, I like Rivercrest, but I like the ground game of Newport. I'm going with Newport also. All right. Headed down to South Arkansas. Uncle Bo, we ain't talked about old Uncle Bo in a while. A big game here at Monticello. Monticello was really hyped up at the beginning of the year. Fordyce went down there and took care of business. Uncle Bo has been struggling a little bit, but he keeps winning. Talk to me, Warren at Monticello, Daryl.
Well, Warren's coming off a 28-26 win over DeWitt, and man, they did it different ways. But
Yes.
I remember Coach Elmore talk about, hey, he's not scared to run it. Well, he isn't scared to run it. With Aaron Davis, the running back, was phenomenal. Jackson Denton, the quarterback, you can see that he's getting a little bit more confident. He's getting a little bit more healthy too. Josiah Steen's their best wide receiver, which is saying something there because Blaze Fellows, Tayshawn Edwards, they're phenomenal on the outside too. Fellows is a big guy. They can throw it up too. He scored the first touchdown against DeWitt. Defensively, they had trouble early on stopping the run, but then in the second half they did a lot better job of that. But DeWitt's they're known to run the ball. They got a really good running back there too. This is at Monticello. You know, we heard all about Monticello this week. They struggled last week with Hamburg. Hamburg went in there and beat them 55-20. Like we said, that was our player of the week that week. But Monticello's really leaning on Jackson Hines and Joseph Achilles on the offensive side. Their offensive line is all the way back. That's why a lot of people were picking them to win. Defensively, they kind of struggled a little bit, especially in the secondary. It's kind of hurt them. This past week, they had a hard time stopping Warren from running the ball. Stopping Hamburg from running the ball, and I think Warren's going to give them the same thing. I think Uncle Bo's watching a little film right now, going, how many times I can get this guy the ball. So I'm going to take Warren on the road.
Daryl's taking
Warren on the road. The Lumberjacks are back.
Lumberjacks are back. All right, Mouth, Uncle Bo's just find ways to win.
He's just doing Uncle Bo things. And, you know, when conference play starts, that's when the Lumberjacks get to rolling.
Yes.
And right now, that big yellow hound that's going to come over from Warren to Monticello, it's going to be running hot when it rolls into that parking lot. And
no air conditioner.
No, windows are going to be down, music's going to be blaring, it's going to be great.
Bo ain't going to put no air conditioner on no bus.
We're going to have Monticello, a lot of hype at the beginning of the year, have hit some rough patches, and it's still going to be rough on them when the Lumberjacks roll into Billy Stadium. I'm going with Warren.
Going Warren. Coach Fimple, you're close to that Warren program. Watch a lot of tape on those guys, and you're familiar with that conference. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Warren. Make it real easy because I like to go down there during Thanksgiving and Christmas just to get free meals and stuff like that. So I'm going with Warren. I'm going with Warren.
Warren for the free meal, man. I love it.
Free meals. Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to go with Warren, too. Uncle Bo's dominated that conference. for the last few years, and I think that he's going to continue to do it. So I'm going to go with Warren also. All right, this one here is interesting. You got Tommy Tice and the Farmington Cardinals got their quarterback back last week against Pea Ridge and Lester. Headed over to Harrison, who went to Alma. Well, I would almost call it elimination game for the playoffs possible. Just rolled Alma last week. Daryl, break this one down. A lot of emotions in this one.
Yeah, Farmington got their quarterback back, Aiden Lester. They ran the ball really well. Jordan Lowe is kind of their bell cow back there. A lot of two tight end stuff, and actually the first touchdown was on a bootleg. So they said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I hope you're healthy here." So they ran a little bootleg with Lester to start that one. You can tell defensively they're a little bit better too, especially when their quarterback's back.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens, but he's kind of the leader of that squad, makes that bunch go. Like I said, they scored 52 points last week against Pea Ridge. Harrison beat Alma 41-13. As hard as that hurts my heart. This is at the Crooked Creek too, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Coach Tice knows about some Crooked
Yes,
Creekness.
it
by the
was.
way.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he
bring-
knows. They might have to they might have to pull him away from the home side. He might go the
Yeah.
wrong
Yes.
direction.
They don't know where to go.
Yeah, he's probably telling them kids, I built this building for you guys. Harrison, quarterback Gavin Jones had 3 quick scoring drives last week. He threw for, he accounted for about 313 yards of total offense, 235 through the air, 78 on the ground. He had a 13-yard touchdown run. Aspen Stevens also had a 3-yard scoop and score against Alma. Eddings caught a touchdown pass or had a touchdown run from 8 yards out. Isaiah Hill had a 2-yard touchdown run. Lucas Brimley caught 3 balls for 160 yards.
Wow.
A touchdown against Alma. That's 50 yards a whack, by the way.
Jeez almighty.
I know my brother struggles with Alma math, but that's over 50 yards. 55.
That one was
So
easy.
it's amazing how that happens. It is the Battle of Crooked Creek. There's probably going to be a statue somewhere around there eventually. If Harrison, wants to get rid of the curse, it's probably on them too. Farmington's going to take this one.
Farmington's taking this one. All right, Mouth. Coach Tice headed over to his former squad over there at Harrison. A lot of history there, but the Lester man's back.
And when Caden Lester gets back, that solves a lot of issues for Coach Tice, Coach Watley, and the rest of the staff at Farmington. So I think Coach Tice is going to walk into Goblin Stadium with a big old stick and just take care of business.
Oh, with his big stick, Coach Tice coming in. All right, taking Farmington. Keith, let's talk about this one. You've been in those situations, had to go back and play, for a former team, even though it's been removed for years. But he's been there a long time. So talk to me about that.
A lot of head coaches that when they go back in certain games, those weeks turn into like 2-a-days. So I'm not so sure it's not going to practice in the morning and the afternoon. Because when you go back home, I remember with Scooter, we would go to Little Rock. It didn't matter who we played, but it was the toughest week. We couldn't do anything right. But I think it's a mindset that those guys have going back into it. I imagine his staff at Farmington right now is working probably till midnight tonight. Probably just doing anything. In 1952, when Coach Tice was born, Hank Williams Sr. had the #1 country song, You Win Again. And so I'm going with Farmington and the Hank Williams song of 1952.
Oh, big. So you're going with Farmington. Keith's going with Farmington. I like Farmington this. I like defensively. And Coach Watley, just offensive, seems to score one more point than their opponent every week. And has answers for everything. I'm going to go with the Cardinals also. But this one I think will be tight, and you're going to see a highly motivated, confident Goblin team coming into this one. All right, headed over to Northwest Arkansas. Got Mountain Home coming in after a big win over Southside. Headed over to Shiloh. Shiloh's coming off a tough loss against Greenwood. This is probably for home field, and it's going to be for a bye. You're looking at a 1 or 2 seed here, looking at a bye week. Huge game as far as playoffs. Daryl, break this one down. A little contrasting in styles.
Yeah, Mountain Home beat Southside 38-21. Brantley Phillips, their quarterback, Barrett Miller, we've all talked about him. He's been our player of the week. Carter Atkins, big play wide receiver, Caden Dotson. What gets you on the Mountain Home side is how defensively they're fast, man.
Yes.
They're fast. They can get to the ball, especially their front seven. Blake Vatko is their middle linebacker, number 25. He's a phenomenal player. Had a big interception against Southside, made it a short field for him. But they scored the first score against Southside was a 42-yard flea flicker from Phillips to Atkins. Then Miller had a 2-yard run. Phillips had a 3-yard run. Phillips had a 33-yard pass to Bryson Kincaid. So they can do it several ways, especially if you load the box with those guys. Mountain Home, they're with the Phillips kid, they can actually take advantage of that stuff, especially in the passing game. Shallow, like I said last week, was a great game. They lost to Greenwood 35-24. Cole Creighton had a rough night. He was 13 of 29 for 195 yards against Greenwood. Greenwood brought some pressure, got to him, kind of got him off course. Max Eldridge, Mad
Yes.
Max, Mad
Yes.
Max led them in rushing. Also played on the defensive side a couple times too. He had 19 carries for 121 yards against Greenwood. Chandler Kemp and Zay Slaughter is their two main wide receivers there. Colton Miller is their leading tackler right now. Shallow's at home. This is one of those games that these teams are a lot alike.
Yeah. It's
They're
big.
they're a lot alike. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They try to move you with their offensive lines back and forth. Shallow is at home. Uh, do they get over the hangover though? This is the problem. And then you got Mount Home and the travel, which
They don't
heck, Mount
care.
Home travels just
They
in
don't
seventh
care.
grade. I mean,
They don't care
they're
about
used to it.
travel.
Oh,
They
I
don't
mean,
make
they're used
they
to
don't
this.
make excuses about
Yeah,
home, man.
yeah, you can just throw that out right here. So, do the Bombers take over to the second lead and put a little pressure on Greenwood here? That's the biggest question right here. And I'm going to take the Bombers,
Oh,
man.
taking the
Taking the
bombers.
Bombers.
Taking the bombers. Daryl's taking
Took
the
the Saints
bombers.
last week, trying to
Yeah.
shock the world.
Yeah.
Take them
Oh,
out home.
taking Mountain Home. Mountain Home coming off big win over Southside. Shallow
Ah,
coming off a disappointing loss to Greenwood. Should be an interesting matchup.
well, as you know, I was up at Mountain Home Wednesday, giving Barrett Miller the coach of the mouth player of the week. Really enjoyed meeting Coach Airy, Steve Airy. Um, I tell you, they know how to travel. It's not going to affect them one iota because they're used to it. And I thoroughly expect Mountain Home to go into Shallow and shock the world and beat the Shallow Christians.
Oh, Mouse going Mountain Home also. All right, Coach Fimple, let me throw this at you. You've been part of both of them, coming off a big conference win. Everybody's very confident. Then you got Shallow over there. How do you get your team back off? That Greenwood game's been circled all year. How do you get them back for another big game?
That's always going into this thing. They've probably been built up for the last 4 or 5 weeks, all during the summer. They've had that circled. They go into it, such good teams. It's one or two plays that separate you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And when he gets ahead by 14, and right now, I really like the Bombers and the way they're doing things, even defensively flying around again, that's going to be the biggest thing is can the mentality be back for Shallow at home, which y'all have a great crowd. That place will be packed. But I'm going with the Bombers too.
Going with the Bombers. Keeps going with the Bombers. I think Shallow bounces back this week. I do. I know I'm going against the grain here. I like Mountain Home, what they do. I really would like them if they were at home, but going on the road, that's a different environment. We talked about PA and enclosed place, and it's different. Now, they've played each other before. I'm going to go with Shallow in this one. All right, here we go. The professor is back in action in Central Arkansas. We got Sylvan Hills at Benton. Benton's coming off. Like you hit it, Daryl, they're healthy. They look dominant against a Jonesboro team. We still think will make a lot of noise in that conference. Sylvan Hills coming off a disappointing loss, but I think the professor has them going. Huge game. They're going to find out where they're at pretty quick. Your thoughts?
Well, Sylvan Hills is 3-1, 0-1. That was their first loss under the professor, by the way. They
Yeah.
lost to Marion 49-46 at home. Tyler Hampton had 5 touchdowns, total touchdowns in that game, the quarterback. Isaiah Howell, they kind of kept him bottled up. He got loose a couple times on the sideline. They'll use him in the screen game some too. Ryan Parnham's their big play wide receiver. Defensively, they struggled early against Marion, and then they kind of figured out some things, got some adjustments made there, and then it just became, oh my goodness. And then the turnovers. You can't turn the ball over. I think Coach Kelly talked about that before the game in his pregame stuff. Benton has figured it out. One, they got healthy is the biggest thing, especially the wide receiver. They're explosive players. Will Carter, Carson Collett, Bryson Griffiths, John Kurzberger. All those guys are back and healthy now. Drew Davis gives them an element back there too. They're actually using him a lot in the run game, especially down close. He had 389 yards of total offense against Jonesboro. He had 4 touchdowns on the ground this past week and 2 through the air. So Drew Davis and them were really getting after it. Defensively, they got after Jonesboro. Jonesboro is really good on offense, by the way, too. I mean, they got a veteran quarterback, too, held them to 24 points in this game. So I think Sylvan Hills, the new kid on the block, I know the professor will have a plan to score some points, but I'm going to take Benton, especially at home.
Taking Benton at home. All right, Mouth, back to Central Arkansas. The professor's putting up numbers. Benton looks like they're starting to hit their stride.
I'm going to go on record and make a statement. There's going to be lots of points scored in this game.
Every time we say that, it ends up 7-6.
6.
Yeah. You're exactly right. What the professor has done at Sylvan Hills is off the charts fantastic this year. I mean, 20-game losing streak, snaps it off and goes 3-0 to start the year, loses a heartbreaker last week. But I think he's playing a different type of animal tonight in the Friday night in the Benton Panthers. And a close one, close. I'm going to take Drew Davis and the Benton Panthers.
Taking the Benton Panthers. Coach Fimple, this is going to be a high scoring. Benton looks like they're hitting their stride. If anybody knows Mark Kelly, it's you, your former offensive coordinator.
There's a lot of people running quarterbacks down the goal line to get that extra guy in the fit, which defensively causes all kinds of problems. So, inside the 20, you got 2 really good quarterbacks. I think Sylvan Hills quarterback is figuring out the system again. I've seen Mark do this and take a kid that, from the wishbone to a spread offense and do unbelievable things with him. But this will be a tremendous game. Again, Sylvan Hills has just learned how to win again. I think Benton being at home will be a major because every time they play at home, it is a packed house. I think Drew Davis has proven that he's been a winner for a while, so I'm going with the Pink Panthers.
Going with the Pink Panthers.
Love Mark Kelly, though. Love Mark Kelly and the staff, though.
It's a way to pickle your brain, man. It's a way to pickle your brain right there.
Hey, he might be the best pregame guy because that guy makes me feel like I'm not real smart. That guy's really intelligent.
I've been in several games with him where
that's why we call him the professor, baby.
Yeah, you see him going back and forth with guys like they did with Marion, but his heart rate now, I bet you don't get over 60. I mean, it's just I'm over here, going 120, and they're putting trying to shock me with and his 60. You got to play for 14. Yeah, I got one, man. It'll be a tremendous environment, and it'll be really good for Sylvan Hills being in an environment like that.
Well, and I think it's one step where they grow a little bit more. But I think,
you just grow.
Yeah, I think Benton hitting their stride, playing well. A lot of confidence coming off that Jonesboro team. Coach Harris feels good about his squad. Got a few receivers banged up a little bit, but I think Drew Davis is a difference maker. I'm gonna go with Benton also. All right, headed over to Western Arkansas. We've been waiting. Small school game of the week is one you circle before it starts. Before we get started, we've got Charleston at Mansfield. Before we get started, let's bring on head coach from Mansfield, Coach Will Overton.
Thank you, sir.
Well, let's get into it. You guys, I mean, you've got that program. I mean, it's kind of feeding itself a little bit. The last 2 years, you've been in the semis and right there on the cuffs of going to a state championship. Talk to us a little bit about your football team and your linemen. Coach Daryl Fimple gets on there, loves your guards every week, and and of course the Burton boys. Everybody brings up about those guys.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about where you are with this team compared to your team last year a little bit.
Uh, this team has played a lot of football together. That's the thing that has been awesome. You know, we brought back all 5 offensive linemen from last year. 4 of those guys started as sophomores, and so they've played a lot of ball together. They've seen every look you could ever want to see. And the best part about it is they're nasty, man. They get after exactly what you want an offensive lineman to be: physical, tough, strong. And those guys have done a great job of being together and working hard every single day. And then you put a kid like Andrew Burton behind them, and there's times where he's 20 yards down the field and he ain't even been touched yet. And then he's got the ability to take it to the house. He had a 93-yarder against Hackett, and he broke 1 tackle. So those guys are just. I mean, I feel like I can get some yards every once in a while. Like, hey, let me get a shot at that. So, our team is really gelled. Our secondary was a big question mark coming in. We're playing a bunch of young kids back there, and they're going to get a real big test this week. So, been challenging those guys and looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Well, you got your first big conference game. I mean, let's throw it in here. You Booneville and Charleston. There's other good teams in that conference, but those are the ones that everybody talks about. And you get your first matchup with Charleston, putting up a lot of numbers, throwing that thing all over the field.
Yeah.
Coach May does a great job. Talk to us a little bit about the challenges that Charleston brings to you this week.
Well, they are a huge challenge. Their quarterback, Carter Little, is fantastic. I would put him up against any quarterback in the state, no matter what classification you're talking about. Kid can spin it. He's athletic. He moves around. They do a really good job of keeping him on the run, giving you different looks. Coach Stewart over there, their offensive coordinator, is fantastic at changing up looks, giving you something you might not have seen. And so they do a tremendous job. Coach May's got them guys playing real well right now.
Well, it is. Well, let's talk about this. I mean, you talked about your young secondary. What are the keys to, what's some matchups? Obviously, your young secondary against their receiver and quarterbacks, but you guys make a living in the trenches. What are some key matchups we need to be looking at?
Well, you hit on it. The secondary versus their skill guys is going to be one that we've got to do a really good job of keeping those guys in front of us, not allowing the big plays, making them use the whole field, and then trying to get some pressure on those guys. So really it's going to come down to, with what we do, our offensive line, being experienced, we're going to lean on those guys. We're going to lean on Andrew Burton. We're going to take the play clock down to, less than 5. And we're going to, try to limit the amount of possessions that those guys can get. And special teams is going to be huge.
Yeah.
It was huge for us last year. We had a big kickoff return. And so special teams is always one of those things that, people kind of overlook, but we put a lot of pride into our special teams, and hopefully those guys can go out there and make big plays for us this Friday.
Well, and you nailed it, the special teams part. A lot of times these big games are the plays that make a difference, and you guys, both teams, did a great job in it. Well, before I get you off here, we've been taking care of Coach Elmore over there. I know he's been to a couple of games. He's really bought in with the Tigers. Talk to us a little bit. You're keeping him in the loop a little bit over there.
Yeah, and we've heard all y'all talking about getting him in the Hall of Fame, and so we got him in there finally. He's going to get his big night against Cedarville here in a couple weeks, and so I know he's excited about it. We had a alumni deal before the season. Coach Elmore came and spoke, and it's great to have a Hall of Famer, a guy who's won big time, a guy that you can kind of talk to and share some wisdom with you, and he's been a big help to me, and I appreciate his friendship and his being around the program again.
Well, he is, and just he'll give great advice. He gives everybody advice every day. You take it, Sometimes you get too much advice, you start making other people's mistakes. So be careful with that a little bit.
Hey, I got you.
All right, well, Coach, good luck to you. Hey, man, we'll have you on again down the road. You got a couple more big games, and you're going to make a long run. Appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me on. Go Tigers.
Well, you can see Coach feels great about his team, especially his offensive line. The running backs, the skill guys they had, the brothers over there, they're back. Charleston's quarterback's throwing it all over yard. Mansfield's got a young secondary. Break it down, Daryl.
Well, Charleston's 4-0 on the year, led by quarterback Carter Little, who went over 1,000 yards this past week against West Fork in a 45-8 victory right there. Here's the thing about Charleston: you think of them offensively, but defensively, they're only giving up 49 points a game right now. They had two pick sixes last week against West Fork. Maddox Terry and Brett Lee both picked off a pass in Charleston's secondary. So Charleston's really good. Here's the thing, though: Mansfield. They don't want to throw it unless they have to. They're just going to smash you and mash you and a bunch of combination blocks and see what if we can get Andrew Burton loose. Burton's over 700 yards, averaging about 10 yards a carry right now, 7 touchdowns on the year. They're only giving up 40 points a game on defense. They're coming off a 52-6 victory over Hackett this past week. And the curse is lifted because they put Coach Elmore in the Hall of Fame.
They did.
We finally got the criteria.
Coach over and talked about it. Yep.
We got the criteria, got that guy in the Hall of Fame. Mansfield's at home. Charleston is trying to get back in the mix of everything, and Charleston, they got a rich history too. But I'm going to take Mansfield at home in this one.
Taking Mansfield at home. Daryl's taking Mansfield. Mouth, this ought to be a battle. Got contrasting styles here. Mansfield's been there, so has Charleston. Talk to us about this one.
Well, I always go to, when it's a game like this one, who's going to have the most dominant offensive line? And Mansfield has got that covered Friday night, I do believe. And since they put Coach Elmore in the Hall of Fame, finally got that right, I can't go against my favorite graduate of Mansfield and the Mansfield Tigers. Mansfield in a close one.
Mansfield in a close one. Coach Fimple, you've been close to this one. Charleston's throwing it around quite a bit and been pretty dominant. It feels like they got one of their better teams. Mansfield's over there loaded to bear.
Yeah, it all comes down to who's got the eye of the tiger Friday. Whoever's got the eye of the tiger in their pep speech is going to take this because, like I said, both of them, real close to each other. I think Charleston is rich in tradition. Mansfield having a great offensive line can keep him off the field where he doesn't get as many attempts throwing it around. Again, there's a lot of people still believe in that philosophy. Things can happen differently when you throw it around, but when you turn just hand to that guy, it makes it real easy. So I'm going with Mansfield in the offensive line, hoping they limit the possessions.
All right, Keith's going with Mansfield. I hadn't picked this one because I've been back and forth. Every time I've kind of thought, hey, Charleston ain't going to be there, and boom, it's a dominating performance. And Mansfield is just doing Mansfield's things, as the mouth says. Who can control the tempo with this game? That's going to be the big key.
It'll definitely be where Mansfield huddles, I think. They've got to huddle and take as much as they can.
He said they're going to – yeah, he said they're going to let it go down to 5 seconds.
I think the hillside's going to be full too. The hillside of Mansfield's going to be full.
Will be full. I'm going to go with Mansfield also since they're at home. But I'm telling you, this Charleston bunch is dangerous. And what scares you is that young secondary of Mansfield. They could get exposed, but I'm going to go with Coach Overton. Think he can control the tempo in this one. All right, headed to our big school game of the week. This looked real big here last week, and all of a sudden, and I think – you got Rogers headed over to Fayetteville. Rogers is everybody you talk to. We've watched them. We've seen them. Just a well-oiled machine. Sneaky. They're pretty good on defense also. I wouldn't even call them sneaky good. They're good on defense also. Fayetteville's coming off it was 21-0 against the West. They beat them like they almost stole something. And then the turnovers and just – Fayetteville doesn't look like they've got some injuries and they're trying to piece some things together. Hendricks still plays, still got him. Your thoughts on this one, Daryl? Could be some points scored in this one also.
Well,
I don't know if there is or not.
Home game too. I don't know when the last time Fayetteville's lost 2 conference games in a row.
Yeah,
that could happen right here. They lost to Bentonville West this past week. Hank Hendricks, they just turned the ball over. They had turnovers made it a short field too. For Bentonville West, who definitely took care of it and took care of that situation. They did find Caleb Johnson. They found him some running room to run the football, but like I said, he ends up fumbling one too. They turned it over 5 times against Bentonville West, which was kind of uncanny. And then defensively, they had a hard time stopping the run. Bentonville West lined up and ran the football right at them, which kind of took them out, off guard. Rogers does not have any problem scoring points, fellas. I mean, the mad scientist over there, and Coach Harbison, he'll shift somebody, throw a pass, and I didn't even know the guy's on the roster.
Yeah, he's the gambler.
I mean, that guy is phenomenal.
He is
I
a
think
gambler.
they honestly have like 4 people that have thrown a touchdown
I
pass
know.
No doubt.
besides
No
Reagan.
doubt.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
you never know what you're going to get. He's one of the hardest guys to defend because he learned from, his lineage. And I mean, they might, like they threw a lineman, a tackle last night in Alabama. You might see that come up here Friday night.
Yeah, that could
It's
be a
just,
plan.
it's amazing with him.
He's averaging 57 7 points a game. They hung up 84 on Sheridan earlier this year. Titus Kramer gives them a running option at tailback. He's over 400, 500 yards now. Xander Burks, 13-yard touchdown run last week. Reagan hit Kramer for 25 yards. These guys were done at half, by the way. They
Yeah.
didn't, have to play the whole entire half. Here's Rogers' defense last week, though. They gave up 16 total yards to the north side in the first half.
Jesus.
Somewhere Joe Fred Young's shaking his head right now. What the heck is going on, Grizzly Land? We gotta get some. I mean, what happened?
Don't have to throw
don't
a
know.
water jug or break a chalkboard on that game.
I mean, golly, they
Halftime
threw.
speech is easy. Yeah.
Rogers' defense came up with 5 interceptions. Did you just hear that? 5 interceptions. Reagan had a 91-yard touchdown run. Just because he does his own thing. He almost went over 300 yards of offense in the first half because he didn't play much in the second at all. They even put Kramer in the Wildcat. Like I said, that guy, he just comes up with different ways. I've seen him, put Lindsey in the backfield with Reagan, move him over, throw it, snap it to Lindsey, and they threw a fade against North Little Rock to Reagan for about 80 yards. So they're explosive offensively, and I think they're really good defensively. And I think they've got kind of a chip on their shoulder. They took a lot of lumps there when he first got that job. I think that dude over there gave them a couple of them in the playoffs. So I think, Coach Fimple, that other one, he's kind of fired this guy up. And he's played those young guys. And like I said, they're on a mission right now. I'm picking Rogers in this one.
Taking Rogers. Daryl's taking him. All right, Mouth. Rogers at Fayetteville.
All right, I'm gonna break this down for you just best way I can. Nobody's feeling bad for Fayetteville for losing to Bentonville West. No. They've got no love. And I'm gonna put it to you this way: Fayetteville is gonna have a hard time with Rogers High School. With the Mounties are coming there on a mission. This is a statement game for the Mounties. They've been wanting this for a long time. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is Rogers." Yep, it is Rogers, but it ain't the same old Rogers. Okay, they got Jeff Regan. They got Lindsey. They got players all over the place. Coach Harbison does a great job, and their defense is led by the great defensive coordinator Dale Williams. He'll have a plan for Fayetteville, and the Purple Dog Nation may come unglued if they lose 2 in a row.
Well, so you're going with Rogers, I see.
Rogers.
Going with Rogers. All right, Coach Fimple, talk to us about this one. Rogers has been close and had them beat the last a few times here, and they just can't get over the hump. You start building all that pressure on you. Sometimes better be relaxed. And the thing about the Purple Dogs, we both know they are a wild card. They could come out and perform.
Very talented, great skill guys. And right now, in the 7A West, you don't have time to bleed. You better get yourself ready every week because of what's going on up here right now. We've got several teams that are playing really well. Don't turn it over much, and there's one thing about these games you guys picked and this podcast you do. These are great staffs.
Oh, yeah.
All through these 10 games you have here, there are so many great staffs, and Rogers, Chad's done a really good job putting his together, and Casey has too. And, these are the kinds of games that you want, back when me and you were at Southside, we played 5 Division I quarterbacks 1 year in a row, and that's going, holy, you don't have time to bleed. If you lose, you better get up. But I think right now, Rogers is on a mission. I think he's got them very focused in. For one reason or the other, it could come down to those 2 or 3 plays that you got to have guys that made, and that's what Rodgers has been able to do. So I'm going with Rodgers.
I'm going to go with Rodgers also. I think that they put so much pressure on you, especially defensively, in what they do. And, we're talking about Fayetteville stopping the run or stopping this or that, whatever. They're going to put so much pressure, and I think you're wrong, whatever you do. I'm going to go with Rodgers. There is a mental block there. They've got to go over there and do it, but I feel like they can this year and everything.
Yeah. Seem to be really confident right now, just watching them on film and, talking with Daryl about North Little Rock, and that game there was really big for them. Just to go down and play, and real confident team right now. But they've been playing, it seems like, since forever. It seems like they've been there 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Again, they've been through this with JV and everything else. So I think this is a really good week for them to get over the hump.
Well, it could be, should be. Hey, another great week. Real fast recap here, Daryl. What pick one or two you're looking forward to?
Charleston, Mansfield, I like that game. I think that's going to be a pretty phenomenal game right there. And then, Warren intrigues me a little bit. Have they figured it out yet? Is this setting up for the run right here? He was worried about Monticello when the season started, and this is his chance right here. Monticello showed some chinks last week in the armor there against Hamburg. So it's going to be an interesting week. Like I said, this, second game of the conference season. And, it's already kind of lining up. Like I said earlier, there's playoffs on the line here.
Yes.
We're talking playoffs. We're talking about the playoffs, man. It's crazy.
Mouth, what are you looking forward to?
Mansfield Charleston's game is going to be fascinating, but I cannot wait to see Rodgers versus Fayetteville. That is a statement game right there for the Mounties. They've been building up to this point for years under Coach Harbison, and I believe they're ready to take the next step.
Keith, your thoughts?
Oh, there's several games on here. I really like the Farmington and having Coach Tice go back, and that staff over there is going to be ready, to go against them. And then, like I said, another one's the Mountain Home Shiloh game. We're talking about getting over the hump, and then trying to be able to compete, do things. Well, it's got to go through Shiloh, and I think the thing that Shiloh's got to worry about is getting past the Greenwood that they this last week, putting it away, and then going on. So yeah, there's several games. Like I said again, great staffs, great football right now in Arkansas, especially.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm really this Newport Rivercrest. That's an interesting for me. I'm really looking forward to that. See if we tweak some things defensively at Rivercrest. See where Newport's actually where they're at and in that part of it. And I'm with you. The Mountain Home Shiloh game. Can Shiloh get over that game? And sometimes you can get beaten twice by the same team in 2 weeks, and you don't want that. And Mountain Home's coming in fired up. Well, guys, I appreciate what a great show. Appreciate it. Before we get off here, let's thank our sponsors. The Coaches Pod Network is powered by Lindsey and Associates. Our Player of the Week is sponsored by C.R. Crawford, Mandatory Lending, Sports Clips, Hootens, Pigs Brand, and we're the official podcast of ARFCA. Also want to thank the Collective and Ben's Apartment for letting us do the show down here again. We'd love coming down here. We were here last night. The food's unbelievable. You get a chance to come to the Collective, please do it. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the Mouth Brent Bender, and our guest picker, Keith Fimple, we'll see you next time.